Hello, my friends. I'm Alexandria Nicole, and I am here with the Empower Hour today. And we have the beautiful Miss Khira James, and she is here for an
Hello.
exclusive interview to talk about her journey as a model and navigating that world and what it looks like. So, if you're watching the Empower Hour today, just know that we are here to empower, motivate, and inspire our listeners. So thank you so much for being here today, Kira. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take this, edit the audience since we're live. Just take a quick sec. Public. All right, we're in business. So
Yes.
tell me everything, Kira. So tell me, how did you get into modeling? How old were you when you
Ooh.
decided you wanted to navigate that space and what that looked like for you?
Yeah, so I've been modeling since I was a little girl. I knew from the jump I wanted to be on the stage and be in front of people. Um, so like this goes back to when I was 2 years old. My mom put me into a dance studio that I was literally in the dance studio from when I was two
Mhm.
to graduating high school. And they could not find ballet slippers to fit me because my feet were so small. And I was literally like just walking, but my mom and my aunt owned a dance studio. So that's how I got into that. And the dance studio that I went to kind of introduced me to these things. They introduced me to modeling and pageantry and competition. And so I grew up doing that. And I started first like modeling for pageants on stage. And I was like, oh, I really like this. And so I was determined. And once I have like this dream, this goal in mind, like there is nothing that is going to stop me from getting that. And so that's where
So,
it all
so that's how it all started. So, did you love the art form of it, or the beauty, or what was it that drew you into modeling and pageantry and dance?
So I love like being on stage. That's the most comfortable that I am. I am like you throw me in an audience of 70,000 people, I am comfortable on the stage, right? And so
Right.
I knew that's where I was comfortable at, and that's what I loved at. I love to be at. But I also like looking through magazines. We were like growing up. We were very like represented in the magazines, and so when I found a photo of a black model, I was like, "Ooh, her!" I would rip the pages out, put them up in my bathroom, and I was like, "This is what I want to be. This is what I want to do." Right? And
Yeah.
so that's where it all started from. I love the beauty of it. I love dressing up in the clothes. Like that's my thing.
So essentially, you were making vision boards before you even
Yes.
realized it.
Yes. Yes. You
That
should
sounds
see
a
my room
lot
and my
like
bathroom.
exactly something that you
Yeah.
can see and visualize every day. That sounds a lot like Whoopi Goldberg's story, where she did a whole piece about there was this underrepresentation of black actresses in
Mhm.
Hollywood, and when she saw the first black actress, a black woman actress on Star Trek, she was
Oh,
like, "Oh my gosh, we can do this!" So
right, right.
essentially, you have to see it to understand and know that you're
Mhm.
welcome in a space, and that you can, be pioneering, groundbreaking. There's room for us all, but it
Right.
really helps to reinforce that confidence when you
Mhm.
do see somebody that looks like you.
Right, right. It was few
Yes.
and far between. Still, even to today, like I am backstage at shows and I show up at photo shoots, and you're like, what? Like there can only be
Yeah.
one black girl, and I'm like, it's 2023. Why does it have to be like that? You know?
Exactly. There's still a lot of firsts happening.
Yeah, yeah.
Last night I was nominated for Miss Summit County here in Colorado, where I
Woo!
live.
Congratulations.
And thank you. So it's 96% white where I live in Breckenridge, and I
Mhm.
was the first Black woman to be
Wow.
nominated. And I found out last night that I didn't win, but I still reveled in the joy that I'm still the first Black woman to
Right,
be nominated in that
right.
category, and recognized from my community for the work that I do and how I show up for people and being impactful, not just,
Mhm,
necessarily popularity, but for what it is that I do, right?
right.
And I'm just
Mhm.
like, I have a lot of those aha moments too, where I'm like, we're still in firsts
Of course.
in
Right.
2022.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you go to these, casting calls, and when you go to modeling shoots, do you feel comfortable being there, or is it sometimes an awkward energy, or do you just own that you're Kira? You're the only woman of color in that space, and it is what it is. How is your mindset when you go into those situations?
So I've grown up in this setting, so I know what it is, and so I don't have any qualms about that. So I go in there and I own it. But the things that you still have to worry about this day and age is, when I go in there, are they going to have a hairstylist and a makeup artist that knows how to do my hair and makeup? And I've come
Right.
across this a lot. I used to cheer in the NFL for the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's when I really learned how to do makeup. People, because I love doing makeup too. I learned how because of, there were about a handful of, literally like 3 to 5 Black girls on the team at a time. They had a hair salon come in to do our hair and makeup before we would go out on the field, and I just didn't like the vibe. I didn't like that I had to go back and touch up my makeup. So I was like, I have to learn how to do this myself. And I used to practice, and it's a shame that I had to do that, but I'm so glad that I did, because I have that skill under my belt now. But that came from going into spaces, showing up in spaces where they didn't know how to match my skin color. They didn't know how to comb and how to brush my hair. And so I would be going and like fixing it myself afterwards. Like,
Yeah.
and I just hate that, like, you never got that experience from start to finish. But I'm not ever going to go out on stage half done. So I was going to make sure that
Right.
I knew how to fix myself at the end of the day.
Well, you said it was a handful of women of color on the team. Out of how many people typically are on a cheer squad for the NFL?
Ooh, like 35 to 40 girls.
Yeah. So, yeah. So they obviously were catering to the majority of the women that were there. And then ultimately, you ended up, receiving a skill out of it, which
Yeah,
usually skills are they're built in spaces of necessity. So you
right,
you didn't want to go out half cocked, and you weren't satisfied with the
right,
situation that you were being offered. So you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna create a solution myself, and now
right.
you have that skill set. So do you
Mhm.
typically do your own makeup when you go and you have shoots, or are you at the status where you can demand what it is that you want? I want a makeup artist and I want a jar full of green M&Ms. Are you there?
I am not there. I don't think I would ever be that person if I was there. But when they have been getting better, you know. My family and I we shot a Verizon commercial last year. So it was a national commercial. They brought us into New York, and all the bells and whistles. There was a Black hair and makeup artist. I don't know if that was like intentional, but we were very grateful for that. I felt
Yeah.
comfortable with her doing my hair and makeup, and so and I loved the outcome. So I was happy, because a lot of times they do stuff and they're very particular. They're like, we got to do this screen check, and if something's not reading right, we got to go back to the drawing board. And so when you're on big jobs like that, there's no like, let me fix this right here. It's
Right.
what
It
they
has
say
to be
goes.
executed properly. So you said you and your family, who all was included in the Verizon shoot?
So for the Verizon shoot, it was myself, my husband, and then my oldest boy, Mikey. I think he was 12 at the time, and we shot the Verizon commercial in New York.
Oh, so how long were you on set? How long did that day last?
Ooh, that was a long day. We got there
Yeah.
probably like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, and we
Hmm.
didn't get home until about 10 o'clock at night. It was literally like an all day process. And that commercial that we booked that during the pandemic. We booked it via Zoom, and I found it myself. Like I was like, listen, everybody in this house works. Everybody has been working since they have been born, and I
Everybody's
booked that.
contributing. It's a
Yes.
family unit. What's funny is I modeling was my dream when I was in my early 20s, right?
Mhm.
And then me and my husband, we got together. We had our first daughter, Hayes, when I was 24.
Mhm.
So then the shift became less about living out dreams and just doing what I needed to do as a mother, and navigating that arena of being a wife and
Mhm.
being a mom and working and getting certified and
Right.
constantly trying to level up. So the dream went by the wayside. It was about, I want to say, 2 years ago, where people started to approach us as a family unit to
Yes.
model,
Yes.
because I'm biased, but we have a beautiful little biracial family. Okay, my husband is a beautiful Caucasian man, and our girls are 12 and 5. They're
Oh.
Hayes and Clarity. So
Mhm.
we've gotten booked for a Rivian set, the
Ooh.
electronic trucks that are
Yeah.
coming out. So they
Mhm.
had a apparel line that they were debuting for like
Oh,
hiking.
wow. Mhm.
So we did a day with that, which it wasn't that bad. It was a beautiful hike. My little one got to the point where she's like, "All right, like where the snacks at?" But she did good. We
Uh-huh.
also did another shoot for the town of Frisco that's right next door to Breckenridge, and that was all day. And it was, um, it's funny because you literally you might get 2 or 3 seconds, maybe 30 seconds on the long end, but
Yeah.
it takes hours upon hours
Hour.
for
Yeah.
them. You have to. It was a what we were doing was like a sledding shoot.
Mhm.
So we were going down the sled, and my daughters are getting cold, and
Yeah.
the kids, they're just over it, and they don't recognize that it's like professionalism in play, that we're actually
Yeah.
working. They're just like, I'm cold and I'm tired of sledding. So it was, but the product, we worked with a really fantastic photographer. His name is
Oh,
Michael.
nice.
He's a local photographer here, and he made it fun for the girls, and he kept kind
Mhm.
of directing them. But it's
Yeah.
interesting how I just really was ready to come to terms with, well, that was something that I
Right.
wanted to do,
It doesn't
and
have to
that
be like
time has
that.
passed. And
Uh-huh.
it doesn't have to be like, you never
Mhm.
really truly have to give up on your dreams. Now I'm doing it in a different capacity. I'm
Mhm.
modeling with my family.
See? And
Yes.
I've always looked, see, a lot of people look at things and think there's a ceiling to it, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted to work at QVC. One, I grew up, my mom loved QVC. She watches it all throughout the night. And so I knew that I wanted to work for QVC. And so that was a dream of mine that I had. And I was like, I'm going to make this a goal and I'm going to make this happen. On my 21st birthday, I booked my first QVC gig. It was a commercial for them. And I've been with them ever
Love it.
since. I've literally been there 10 years. I celebrated last year. And
Wow.
so, um, but working at QVC, I work with models who are like 86 years old, right? And
Yes.
so to see that, I'm like, oh, of course I can do this the rest of my life. There's
Right. And
no
I
ceiling
think,
on it.
yes, and I think that there used to be that perspective around modeling, is that you age out at a certain age.
Yeah,
But
not
now
true.
I'm seeing these commercials with these poised, beautiful,
Mhm.
elegant, self-affirming older women in like oil of Olay, or
Yeah.
turtleneck commercials, perfume, whatever it is they're marketing. And they're freaking glorious. And
Mhm.
there's something so amazing about them because they are so much older and they're
Yeah.
comfortable in their skin. So it
Mhm.
really just looks like they're being shot in their natural elegance,
Right.
which I love. You know what I mean?
And I always, when I meet people, I'm like, the people think I'm joking. Oh, you should be a model. When the standards of modeling have changed so much and for the better. Like, have you seen the Victoria's Secret ads? Have you seen, like, everybody is moving to a realistic body type because that's what it should have been anyway, because
Right.
it's always been underrepresented out there in the market to begin with. Let's not
Exactly.
talk about sizing and the way people size things and the mind psychology that
Right.
goes into that. But I tell people all, like, you can do this. The people love to see everyday people, and finally companies are getting that. They
Hmm.
are shooting women and showing what a real mom looks like, right? They're showing what a housewife looks like. They're showing what a working mom looks like, because that's who is buying their product. Then
Right.
who not to? Like, why are you showing this unrealistic picture
Standard.
of a girl? Like, that's no, your market
And
is this.
ultimately it comes right back to what we were saying. Like, we as women of color, we want to see a reflection of
Yes,
ourselves, but
right.
so do other women.
Mm-hmm.
Women that
Yes.
aren't going to be glam 90% of the time because they're in mom mode, or because they navigate their business from their
Mm-hmm.
home, and
Yeah.
they don't have they're in pajamas and sweatpants, and that's a
Mm-hmm.
majority of their life, and that's totally fine. But that should be represented,
Right.
instead of having these unrealistic standards projected onto us,
Mm-hmm.
and then in turn making us feel lesser than if we don't live up to that unrealistic aspect of
Right.
life. So
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned body type, and I love the fact that the mannequins are coming in various sizes now. I
Yeah.
can appreciate that. But was there ever a time where you felt like you had to present in a certain way in terms of your body to be considered for any positions or any contracts?
Not modeling wise. When I cheered, there was definitely like, hey, your body better look right when you go out there on that field, right? And they
Right.
used to like we used to practice in well, our uniforms were small anyway, but we used to practice in sports bras and like little shorts. So like when you are aware, I do know this, when you see your body and you are aware of it all the time, you can see the changes that are happening to it. And so a lot of people, when they are going to the gym and things like that, I tell them to walk around and look at your body, right? Because a lot of people aren't comfortable with looking at their body. It's so easy to just throw on something because it helps you forget about everything. But
Right.
when you have that touch with your body, that's when you can start noticing changes and things like that. But
Girl, it was so funny that you said that, because our old house that we just moved out of a few months ago, all of the mirrors in the house were just like, maybe came to chest length.
uh-huh.
And we went out of town. I think we went to the beach or something, and they had a full body mirror, and I was like, "Girl, you got to get it together." And it was funny because I've been living with this body for years, but
Right.
all of the mirrors, I'm like, I look good. But honey got that full body mirror, and I was like, whoop, I gotta get my life together. It's a different level of accountability with the full length
Right.
mirror, I tell you.
Right.
Oh, so good. So what now, since you're kind of living the dream and you
Mhm.
obtained the job that you really idolized and looked up to and you resonated with, because it was something that you grew up watching, it was in your household, essentially it was a part of your culture, QVC.
Yeah.
So do what's next for you? What do you dream of in terms of, like, what is your Mount Everest of opportunities?
My Mount so my long-term goal has to always been to model with my family. I always thought it was like really weird when I would be on set and they're like, "Oh, let's build a family." Because one, I know the chemistry that I have with my family is golden. Like you can put up a camera on us any day and capture some really awesome pictures. And so I know that it will sell anything that you put on us, right? So
Yeah.
that has always been my goal. If you booking me, I got a cute kid and I got a cute
Yeah.
husband, right? Just book all
And
of
we
us.
could just float all the checks right in this
Right,
direction.
right, right over here.
Save the time on
No need to
outsourcing.
build a family. You got one right here.
Yes. So do you sometimes go to them when they want to create a family, and do you offer that to them? Say, "Hey, my
Oh yeah.
nuclear family
Hmm.
has modeled and they know the deal. Or would you be interested
Yeah.
in going in this direction?" Have you ever offered that?
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Definitely offer
yeah.
that. I always go. So I always, honey, you always show up prepared, right? Never not show up prepared. But my baby, he was a little baby at the time. He had booked a job for a company called Nested. I think it was Nested.
Oh.
And so I took him. I did not get booked as the mom. My girlfriend did though. Somebody I did know got booked as the mom, right? But
Wow,
he
yes.
was like, "Oh, my baby, my baby." Guess what? My baby got on set and he was like, "I don't know, y'all. I'm not smiling for nobody." And they were like, "Mom, can you step in?" And so I was there, I was ready because you always walk out the door ready. And I was able to step
Right.
in and be the mom on set. And so even though I didn't initially get booked, guess what? I got booked.
Wow. So stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
You
So
gotta
you were
stay
out, they
ready.
were like, you're already in glam. And I mean, but how was your friend in that situation? Because you just kind of poached her job.
She was cool about it.
She was okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then how old are your children and how many do you have?
I have three boys, 2, 3, and 13.
Yes. And all of them have experience with modeling at
Yes,
this
yes.
point? Yeah.
Hmm.
So does
Yeah.
your 13-year-old is he seeming like he's going in that direction like that could possibly be a dream of his as well, or does he have
Yeah.
something else he's interested in doing?
No, he likes it, and like whenever I have auditions, I always ask him first before like I submit him for anything, and he's always down, and he's good too. I think that he is a great actor, and so we really want to work on those skills and honing them in too.
Oh, I love it. So you said before you book him, so do you handle you and your family's management or do you have a manager? How do you go about booking your jobs?
So I have an agent, but I also do my due diligence as well. I look for gigs. I have relationships with casting agencies, and so when I see stuff come in, like I always submit. I always send stuff to people I know. Like if you come to mind, like I keep getting emails for different castings, and if I know you are in my circle, you come to my mind, I will always shoot you off an email like, hey, I think you should apply to this. I tell people all the time, and I really wish that they would give themselves more credit for things. Modeling isn't that hard. It's just people want to capture authenticity, and so it's
Right.
so much better for producers, I think, nowadays to go after real people. And so
Mhm.
when I tell you you should model or you should do this, like you should get into this, or I send you something, you should go for it because the space is really open right now, and I think there's opportunity for everyone.
Well, that's good for you to be able to remind people of that too, because I think in our era coming up, we've been so programmed to associate modeling with perfection. So if
No.
someone isn't, wholeheartedly honoring themselves and confident in how they show up, they're going to be
Mhm.
like, I'm not even going to waste my time because modeling is for XYZ type of person. You know
Right.
what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's
Mhm.
almost like you're unintentionally an advocate for the inclusivity of modeling and the direction of
Oh yeah.
realism that is going in.
Hmm.
So look at you. Oh, I love it. So tell me, so what really inspires you to keep moving forward and to keep modeling and to keep showing up in the way that you do in that realm?
Oh, well, my family. Like I said, something
Yeah.
that I always loved was to see my family together on things, on commercials. And I see other people, why not me? Like what's stopping me and what's stopping my family? And I heard a quote one day, and it said, it's not necessary for you to watch your kids play, but it's necessary for your kids to watch you work. You know why? Because it
Mm,
builds great habit in them, right? And so
right.
I love what I do. From a little girl, I knew that I wanted to do something that brought me joy, right?
Yes.
I could not like just walk into like a work office that I hated the rest of my life. I knew that what I did every day I would have to love. And I
Yes.
want my kids to know that. I want them to know that, you don't have to do what everybody else is doing. You know how many people told
Right.
me that like I was never going to be a professional model? Like this is my
Wow.
job. This is what I do. And
Yeah.
I'm 32 years old. This is what I do now. And this has been my dream. You can ask anybody since a little girl. I was like, I'm going to model.
Yes. And you
And I
spoke
want
it.
them to know that. Like, I want my kids to know that. And so that's why I absolutely love bringing my kids on set with me. I love working with them, being able to work with them. And I love that I get to pad their bank accounts too.
Yes. That's something that I really loved and connected with the fact that you said you always knew that you were not gonna essentially just settle and work a job that you hated. And
Mhm.
I always felt the same way. I would kind of go from job to job and I'd get certifications so that I could attempt to level up my pay. But I was just like, I don't like this and
Mhm.
I'm not comfortable. I never understood that outlook on life.
Right.
on literally going and spending a majority of your time being miserable at in a place that you don't connect with or you don't feel valued at. And
Mm-hmm.
that was how my journey to entrepreneurism came into play, because I wanted to be the author of my life. This is my
Yeah.
movie. I'm the director, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to allow anybody else to write it, and guide me on what it is that they want me to do or they feel like I need to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I love how you value that showing up and being happy in what it is that you're doing
Yeah.
is also a tool that you're teaching your children. Our daughter, our 12-year-old, she owns her own pet sitting business because we are sewing into her.
Mm-hmm.
You can write your own story, Hayes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So she
Yeah.
essentially, her dream is to pet sit until the time she's 19, save up her money, and then open up a smoothie shop. She's
Oh,
got books of
got it all
recipes, and
laid
she's
out.
supposed, huh? All
She's got it
laid
all
out,
laid
yeah. And we're like, yes, girl. And I'm like,
out.
Hayes, I see you wrote some recipes where the measurements at. So, I am
Yeah.
sewing into her into what it is that she wants to do. She
Mm-hmm.
is just a person that I gave life, but I do not
Right.
own her. I don't own her journey.
Well,
So
I'm
it's
glad that you said that. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm so thankful for my parents were the same way with me, right? They're like, I would just go to them with stuff. Hey, I want to go to this performing arts high school. And
yeah.
I need to take this class, and this class so I can be prepared for the audition. And they're like, okay, let's go. Like
Wow.
they just help nurture that part of me, right? Because anything that I wanted, I would write the plan for, and they're like, okay, let's go do it.
Wow, I love that. That's so good. Now me, I had to break what's the word I'm looking for? Generational do what I say.
Hmm.
That was the vibe. And
Hmm.
I had to stop that and allow my children to be who they are,
Right.
because I feel like I was marching to the beat of someone else's drum, and
Hmm.
then it took me so much work to get back to who I was,
Yeah.
what I was called to do. So
Hmm.
instead of setting my children up to just, live the life by the plan I set out for them and then having to work their way back to who they're
Right.
going to
Right.
be, I just choose to support the plan now and just
Hmm.
let God guide the way. You
Right.
know?
Yeah. That is awesome.
Yes. Oh, so wonderful. So, ooh, this is a good question. I love this question. So far, what has been your greatest lesson that you have learned in terms of modeling and, ways to have self-care, ways to uh look out for yourself and your best interest? What has been the greatest lesson, and then like an example of it if you can share?
Oh, my greatest lesson: never compromise. Never
Mm.
compromise your values, never compromise your morals, because especially in the modeling world.
Mm.
Um, I mean, because I've run into some shady agents, I run into some money hungry people, and you always have to know what your morals are, and you have to be able to stand on them. Because if not,
Right.
these waves will wash you out.
Kira's like, I'm not taking my shirt off. I don't care how much money you throw at me. I'm not gonna do it. But that's so important. That's important in every walk of life. Is understanding your values and your boundaries,
Hmm.
and not allowing anybody to put you in a position where you feel like you have to waver on it, and
Hmm.
then like you said, you're washed away. You're a whole nother person now,
Yeah.
because you have lost what it is that makes you who you are, and you were just subjected to do whatever anybody tells you to do.
Yeah.
Give us an example of a time where you've been offered an opportunity that you either set boundaries in place and they honored them, or you set boundaries in place and they had to go in a different direction because it wasn't the vision.
Oh, let's see. I had got booked for a shoot. The shoot was it didn't pay that well to begin with. One, two, I felt like it had been a very popular billboard of theirs. So this is where like I was using my mental, right, because I knew that I had seen the billboard from this company before. The billboard had been really old, and so I'm like, one, they don't do photo shoots very often, that they're using a picture from like 10 years ago. And two,
Uh-huh.
they have a billboard with a picture from 10 years ago. And so I'm just putting stuff together here, right? So I did a
Yes.
photo shoot, didn't get paid that well. And then they came back a year later, and in the modeling world, we have something called a buyout, right? And they can come back and they can buy out all the pictures that you've taken, and they can use it for a certain amount of time. Well, their set
Okay.
terms were not set. They wanted all my pictures for an unlimited amount of years, and they can do whatever they want if they gave me this small payment. And this was after the initial buyout. So I had every right to refuse to give them any pictures. I had every right to refuse their money. Um, but I just knew I didn't have a good feeling in my spirit about it. And so I know to listen to those feelings. And I was like, I decline. I'm not going to give you access to my photos. And I'm sorry that I probably look like a troubled model, but I listened to my gut, right? Because that happened for a reason.
Right.
And so I'm glad that I did not give access to those photos, because I still see stuff from that property still floating around years later. Years.
Yes. So essentially, just so I'm understanding properly, they already conducted the buyout, but
Mhm.
did they want to own the intellectual property of the pictures that you took from that specific shoot, or just like all your pictures that you've taken,
No, from
even?
that specific shoot.
So they wanted all of them,
Mhm.
and you were like, no. Yeah. Is there anything in the modeling world that's kind of comparable to residuals like it is for TV shows or anything like that, like kickback checks? Yeah.
Yeah, so when we do like national commercials, that's called a SAG. That's the union that we are in for like commercials and movies and films. And so like for our Verizon commercial, we got residuals. We call them blessing checks because they just drop in the mail. You never know when they're coming. You never know how much they're for.
Yes. That's what I'm
We just
talking
call them
about.
blessings. They just be dropping in the
Yes.
mail.
Oh, that's wonderful. I like the sound of that.
Yes.
So, tell me a book that you've read that have
Ooh.
has really helped you and given you perspective on your journey, and contributed things that sometimes maybe you think back to, or has popped up in your mind when you were presented with something and it guided you. What book
Well,
was that?
let me tell you, um, I have two books. One, I always recommend Atomic Habits by James Clear to everyone, because I think that book is a game changer, especially for an entrepreneur, right? I think goals are tied to habits. And when you can make really good habits, you can access your goals quicker than you would if you just didn't have a plan in place. And so
So
that is
tell me the title of the book again. What's it called?
Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So that is a really good book. And the other book is called A Purpose Filled Life by Miles Monroe.
Okay.
And that is not like a read, something that you would sit and read through, but I love that book because it has such good nuggets of like spiritual information. It has good motivation in it. It always ties it back to the Bible, and so like I love that he has stuff that ties into scripture. And so I always recommend that book to people too. Purpose Filled Life by Miles Monroe.
Now, do you read the books, or I'm doing a lot of audio tapes so I can listen to stuff in the car, in the shower. I
Yes,
have to kind of consume on the go. I really
right.
don't have the luxury of just reading anymore. But so are you sitting down and reading, or do you do audiobooks?
So I do both. I love a good book that I can turn the pages with. But
Yes.
I'm in the car a lot, so I do a lot of audiobook. And so here's the thing: when I first started Atomic Habits, I bought it in audiobook, right? But in the book,
Hmm.
he tells you, okay, like make a small goal. So my small goal for the book was, if I finish this audiobook, I can reward myself with a hard copy of the book. And so I met my goal. I got my hard copy of my book, because it really is a
Yes.
book that you can read multiple times. But
Yes. If it is up to me, I can't get into the Kindle. I can't get into the swiping of the book.
Right, right.
There's something profound about a tangible book and being able to turn the
Yeah.
pages. If I'm
Mhm.
going to read something, it has to be a book. I'm not a
Yeah.
Kindle person or something like
Mhm.
that. But like I said, the schedule right now, I just need to zap it into my brain and keep it moving.
Keep it moving. Yes.
Oh, I love this question. So, what is your perspective on failure?
Mm. I don't think there is failure. Like, okay, you fail, but I never ever ever leave a situation and don't learn anything from it. I believe
Right.
everything that's presented to you is in a form of a test. And so you can either pass it or you can fail it and then get presented with the test again, right? And so I don't
Mm,
really think of failure as like, yes, it's failure if you didn't learn anything from it. I do
right,
believe
right.
that. But I always try to go into things, even if I fail, to learn something from it so I can be better the next time.
Yes, that's so true. My perspective on failure is that you can profit from any aspect of failure. There's
Mhm.
something to gain. There's some lesson to be
Yeah,
learned. There's something that I'm supposed to be taking away from this
right.
in order to break a cycle of it becoming a perpetual behavior,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So failure really essentially is about your perspective, is about your relationship with it.
Mhm.
I've gotten to the point I used to not try things for the fear of failure
Failure. Yeah.
because I was living in this kind of perfectionism zone.
Mhm.
So if I didn't think I would get something perfect, I just wouldn't do it.
Mhm.
And so I had to overcome that. I had to really observe that and realize that that was my mindset
Mhm.
and become comfortable with what's deemed as failure and just realize, like you said, it's a test. You're
Yes.
gonna pass or you're gonna not. In
Yeah.
either way, there's something to retain from it,
From it.
right?
Right.
That contributes to the journey and makes you stronger. That's why I say entrepreneurship is just you failing upwards
Yep.
because
Upwards.
every new level you get
I like
to
that.
is unknown territories and you have to learn something on that level.
Right.
So after you level up, you go from A to B, you're like, who I got to be? Well, God knows B's got some whole different things going on up here. So you're just constantly having to learn. You're
Yeah.
failing upwards.
Let me tell you something. I'll never forget this one. I was in a dance competition once.
Uh-huh.
And this lesson is like engraved in my head. I always go back to it years later. But I was in a dance competition. I had advanced to like this special round. And if your score was high enough, you got to take these like special dance classes with all these other kids. Um, and I guess I was in like elementary school. So I was pretty
Hmm.
young, but I was terrified. Right.
Yeah.
So I danced on stage by myself. I did everything myself, scored, won, but it was time to do this competitive workshop. And I was surrounded by all these people I didn't know, and I was terrified. And I'll
Wow.
never forget, my mom asked me, she said, "Do you want to do this?" I said, "Mom, I want to go home." And she let me go home that day. And that was the last time I ever left somewhere because I was scared of something. That memory
Mm.
is ingrained in my head. Like I left, I didn't get to experience that, right? Because I let something hold me back. I let something inside of me hold me back. So one, from that point on, I always went in prepared to for the situation. And two, I never leave it. I will have the craziest things come up and I'm going to submit to it because I said I was going to submit to it, right? And it's the craziest, you should ask my friends, the craziest things. And I'm like, I'm going to do it because I'm going to do it. And
Yeah.
what can I say? Like I shot my shot, and if I don't make it, then I don't make it. But I can't say that I didn't try. And that's what I took
Yeah.
away from that moment where I left that dance studio. Now, I told you that I went to performing arts high school, and I was like, I'm not going to feel intimidated by anybody because I know I have the skill. I'm not going to feel intimidated by anybody. I'm going to make sure that I'm over prepared. And so that's when I went to my parents and I said, hey, I know I'm in this dance studio, but I think I should take some classes at this one because I needed some diversity, right? Because I already knew that I was going into a predominantly white school. I need some diversity and I need to be taking ballet classes with people who don't look like me so I can be able to compete
Mm.
next to them. And so
Yes.
I took like 5 dance classes that summer at like all these different dance studios just so I could like condition myself and get ready,
Right.
I
Right.
wanted to feel comfortable, and I knew what I had to do to make me feel comfortable.
Wow. And what an interesting mom move too, because that could have went completely left.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about if I take my daughter to do something and then she's overcome with fear, I can't help but feel like I'll be like, well, just take a deep breath, just, internalize, visualize what you wanted the
Help me.
outcome to be. I feel like I would try to persuade her to overcome the Goliath and just move forward with it.
Mhm.
But your mom was like, okay, let's go. And it still worked out because of who you are.
Mhm.
How
Mhm.
amazing is that? That is so awesome. So, do you still get nervous when you are approaching a stage or performance, or do you still get the butterflies?
No, that I told you that's like my home, right? And it's so funny that
Yeah.
I found this because I did not know this, right? But
Hmm.
before the curtain opens, before the camera turns on, even now when I'm at QVC and they're like counting down and the camera's about to come on, I say this like little prayer in my head, like, God, please let me shine as bright as the stars you made me, right? And I don't
Oh.
know where I literally have been saying it since a little girl. And I came across this scripture, Matthew 5:16 the other day, and I was like, this is what God is telling me. It says, let your light shine so before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. And that's all I ask because I
Mm,
know that I have a gift, but I know that it is not for me and it is for other
mm.
people. And I never really understood that gift when I was younger, but now I do. And so when I step in front of an audience, when I step in front of a stage, that is my prayer to God. And that is like our thing back and forth. Like, you got this, girl. I made you to shine like this, right?
Oh,
This is what
girl,
you got to do.
don't get me crying on the power hour today. Jesus, that touched me, and it's beautiful, and it's true. I still to this day, after all the speaking engagements and all of the presentations I've done, this is my method. So before I'm about to go on to do whatever it is I need to do, I have to have quiet just for a few minutes. I
Mhm,
have to check in with myself. I have to get focused. I have to get my energy right.
mhm.
Then maybe 15 to 30 seconds into the actual speaking in front of people, the actual speaking engagement, I get this nervousness, but what I did is I shifted from saying I'm nervous or I'm feeling nervous to, oh my god, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So I reframed the emotion,
Oh, that's
right?
good.
So
Mhm.
now I'm not a victim to something. I'm not
Right.
I'm not operating in this arena of anxiety,
Oh,
but
that's
I'm
good.
changing it. It's the same feeling, but
Mhm,
I'm changing how I receive it. So now I
mhm,
say, "Oh, I'm so excited." And then, like I said, a few seconds into it, and I'm like completely in my element, and I'm just feeling overjoyed to be living out my calling, and to
mhm.
first off even recognize the calling, to
Right.
move forward with it, and even be in that space and be
Mhm.
in front of the audience instead of someone sitting in it because I'm too wrapped up in
Yeah.
fear.
Mm, that's good.
Oh my God, I'm
That
just
is good.
enjoying you so much, Kara. You are wonderful. This time is flying by. So wonderful. So yes, so let the girls out there and the men who are
Mhm.
interested in modeling
Oh,
walk
yeah.
them through what some tips would be in order for them to be prepared and what to expect. What's the first step that they need to take to make sure that they're really showing up the way they need to book jobs?
Well, first, I always because I teach a lot of different classes. I teach people how to get their families into the modeling industry. I teach entrepreneurs how to
Oh,
take pictures, how to step in front of the camera. I also teach brides how to take pictures for their wedding day, right? Because a lot of times
wow.
we get to these big events and we're like, uh-oh, I've never had professional pictures taken before. And you get in front of a real camera and you're like, whoa, this is scary, right? But
Yeah,
you're being photographed for such an important day or something that is an investment to you. You want to make sure that you love your investment at the end of the day. But
right.
so we always work on confidence first when you come to me. Always start that. And so I'm big on doing affirmations in the mirror every day. I think that needs to be like baked into what you do, because if you're not confident, that's the first thing that's going to show on camera. So you want to make
Mhm.
sure that you love your smile. You want to make sure that I always tell people this. When you see like bathing suit shots and like swimwear shots, a lot of times that stuff is shot off season. And so we're shooting it in the winter time. And so I always have to get my mind in like this. I have to transform my mind to, I'm on the beach in St. Lucia with the sun beaming down on my face, because I'm really like in in below 30 weather, right? With
Oh
a
my God.
bikini on. But I have to
Yes.
transform my mind, because I can't have goosebumps in my pictures. Like, what does that look like with a swimsuit on, right?
Wow.
But that's
Yeah.
how, like, that's what you have to think about. But you can use those skills in everyday life. I use that in the modeling world, but this is stuff that helps me like every day. I always say you have to be comfortable in front of yourself to be comfortable in front of the camera. So I do a lot of practicing. I'm a big advocate of practicing. And that's even just like taking 10 minutes out of your day and seeing yourself smile in the mirror. What do you love about your body? What do you love about your face? What do you love about your smile? And really knowing who you are, because that's going to
Right.
translate when you walk out into the world.
Oh, that's so true. That's so good. And I love that you do affirmations. My first published book, The Entrepreneur's Checklist,
Hmm.
and there's the task that you need to do to actually get your business open, and then the
Hmm.
checklist to be able to, write everything down to
Right.
reaffirm the list. Well, the last thing I have in the book next to the dedication to my family is affirmations,
Yeah.
because you have to be able to show up for yourself mentally
Mentally. Yeah.
to prepare for the journey that you're about to take, and to continue to show up once
Hmm.
you're immersed in it,
Absolutely.
right? So
Hmm.
I love the fact that that's a part of your coaching is the
Yeah.
affirmations, because your mind has to be right. But
Yeah.
what's more interesting in that is I never realized that there had to be so much mind over matter in play with modeling until you said you cannot have goosebumps in a swimsuit. Do
Yeah.
you know what kind of mental? I'd be shivering, goosebump city, okay? But you have essentially trained your mind and your body
Hmm.
to not present whatever the actual experience is,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. You're paid to sell clothes. Like you gotta fix it. And it's something that honestly I learned that when I was cheering for the Eagles. Because listen, we're in Philadelphia. We got winter, right? We would be outside. Now, granted, we had like a winter uniform, but it's still like if it was a primetime game, they'd be like, "Oh, girl, you better get out there with that skirt and that mini, that midriff on, right?"
Yeah, yeah.
And it'd be snow outside on the ground. But
Wow.
you had to think warm, to act warm, to look warm, to be warm, So
Oh, yeah. So how long did it take for you to get to that mental strength of being able to present what it is that you're thinking on the inside?
I watched a lot of America's Next Top Model growing up. No,
We
but
all did. We all did.
no, it did take a while, right? But like I said, I had some good hands-on training with the when I cheered in the NFL, and so that was great. But I teach this tool to my clients because I use it in everyday life, like I said. And so oh, I remember on my wedding day, it was torrential downpours when we woke up. And
Mm.
and I had an outside wedding in October, and I didn't have a backup plan because I just knew it wasn't going to rain. And so to look at the pictures and to know that I was going through so much stuff, everybody's trying to reroute my wedding. And I'm like, girl, you hit
You
that well.
can't tell it. You look whimsical in your pictures. You are, yes, you brought that model
Thank
vibe in,
you.
didn't you?
Yes. I was like,
Yes.
oh, if you only knew what was going on behind the scenes. But
Yeah.
I tell people these tricks all the time, because when my clients go on photo shoots or they're at their wedding day, I always teach them to recall a time where they have joy, right? How do you feel
Mm,
joy? What brings you joy? How how
right.
so my joy place, just right off the bat, me and my husband, we did our honeymoon in St. Lucia. It was the best trip. I hadn't been all over the world, the best trip, right? And
Mm,
so as soon as I close my eyes, I can be having the worst day. As soon as I close my eyes and think about St. Lucia, I can just feel that sun beating down on my face. I can feel like
mm,
the sand in between my toes. I can hear the waves going in the background. And that's what I
yeah.
think about. And so when I'm having a bad day, or like I'm talking to somebody and I'm like really mad, I stop for a second. Give me a second, right? And I just think about St. Lucia. And I always tell people, find what brings you joy. Like, what is your why? But it has to be a place that you can transport your mind to. Because
Mm.
you need to take your mind out of your upsetness, your madness, and you need to take it to that place. You need to take it to St. Lucia.
So you've essentially mastered like meditation in real time, doing a task. Because
I
when
never
you think
thought
of
of
meditation, you think of being like away, sitting crisscross and
it.
quiet somewhere, maybe a little water trickle in the background, but it's a very intentional moment in time where you are removed from things. But
Mhm.
you have created a meditative state in your mind
Mhm.
while your body is doing other things.
Mhm.
That's incredible. I
I
am
never even thought
learning
of
some things tonight.
it.
This is amazing. So first off, our people, they need to embody confidence
Yeah.
and really love themselves and affirm themselves every day to be able to project whatever it is that they're,
Yes.
going to sell or show up to do.
Mhm.
What is another tip that you've learned yourself that it took a little while for you to understand that about modeling?
Ooh, always come prepared, because you will get booked for jobs and you will show up. They'll be like, "Oh, there's hair and makeup, or there's wardrobe there." And then you get to the set and the wardrobe's either not cute, don't fit, or they really don't have anyone, right? And so you're like, "Dag, I should
Mm,
have bought that." And so we have what we call in the modeling world like a your model bag. And so it just has essentials in it. And I think everybody should have these essentials. They're like a pair of white jeans, a pair of like blue jeans, just just some things that if you showed up and there was absolutely nothing there, you can still put yourself together, right? I was
mm,
always taught you can you never know what type of photographer that you're going to get. I've had really great, like award-winning photographers. I've had really crappy ones, right? But I knew that I was going in to do a job, and I can't let what somebody else is doing affect what my job is, right? So I'm
right.
going there and I'm gonna get my pictures either way. My
Yes.
3-year-old can take a bomb picture of me, right? Because I know how to work it on my end, and I know what I gotta do on my end to make it come out right.
Right.
So
So
go
you say
prepared.
so what's in your model bag?
Ooh, what's in my model bag? So I have a pair of black jeans, a pair of blue jeans, no holes or anything in it, because when we don't want to be too trendy when we go to things and do photo shoots and things like that. I have a pair of stockings, a strapless bra and nude and black. I have fashion tape. I have pasties. I have socks. What else is on? Nail polish, nail clippers. Um, Ooh. So I have like a whole travel makeup kit that I take. Like I have my real makeup kit, and then I have like a travel makeup kit that I just throw in when like other people are supposed to be doing my makeup, right? But I know I
Mhm.
need a foundation that's my color in case they don't have that. I always bring my flat iron because they might not have the tools to do my hair necessary. Um,
Right.
and then your heels, you always have a pair of black pumps. You always have a pair of strappy heels and a pair of boots for the winter time.
So what is it, do you have any accessories at all? Like what are your earrings leaning towards? Are they like studs or are they no earrings? Like what does that look like?
So typical like model earrings, you don't want to show like I never not show up in anything, but I just wear like a nice like dainty stud. Usually I don't take all of my like extravagant jewelry to things like that, but
Yeah. Wonderful. And
Mhm.
do you, when you're walking in and you're ready to go, do you come in with the bag or do you let them say, oh, this is your option? And you're like, that's not cute. Let me go to the car real quick. Like, how
No,
does that look like for, what does that look like for you?
no, model bags are like pretty standard. So I usually come in with it. I usually
Mm-hmm.
come in with it. But it's so funny. So my husband, so we when we did the Verizon commercial, so they say they send you stuff. They say, oh, this is the wardrobe guide that we're going towards. So they'll send you like a mood board with wardrobe things. Um, and so they say, if you have anything like this, bring it. Like, just bring it with you. But so when I hear
Right.
them say that, I go shopping immediately because why not? But we
Yes.
ended up getting there, and so he wasn't feeling the clothes at all. They had racks and racks of clothes, and he was like, I'm not feeling this.
Yeah.
And so they're like, well, do you have anything? He was like, actually, I did. See, he ended up wearing his whole outfit from head to toe, like all of his clothes in the commercial. And I was like, see, we did all of that.
Now,
All
did
of these
he?
clothes you had to try on. He was like, I got my own stuff.
So, okay, so for the model bag, or did you just stuff a bag with both of y'all stuff, or do y'all?
Yeah.
Is he sedity? Is he for highfalutin now too? And he
He's
got his own
he got his
bag.
own bag.
Oh my god!
He came through with the garment bag, okay?
You
Came through with
traded them
the garment
well over there, Kira. You traded them up well.
bag. Listen, let me just tell you this one story real quick. I
Tell
had
me,
to
yes.
I had to do a photo shoot for it was for a fitness center, a fitness gym, some type I don't know what it was. Um but I was like, and my husband's into fitness. And so I was like, I should get him to come with me because I know the industry. I was like, what if I just get him to like show up? He looks like the Hulk. They're gonna want
Oh,
to put
okay.
him
He's really into fitness.
in. So I convinced him to come to drive me to my shoot. And I packed a bag that he didn't know about. So we get to the
Girl.
place, and just like clockwork, the guy was like, "Hi, I'm the photographer." And then they look past me and it goes, "Who's this guy?" And I was like, "Oh." And they're like, "He should be in the shoot too." And I was like, "Yeah, he should." And he's like, "Oh, too bad I don't have clothes." Yeah, you actually
Well, as
do.
a matter of fact,
That was
I've
his
got one
very
in the
first
trunk
job.
for you.
He got picked up by the photographer. The photographer paid him for the work, even though he wasn't booked through an agent. That was his very first job. He ended up booking a Listerine campaign off of that.
Wow.
We were in like brides.com. We were on Essence from our photos from this photo shoot, right? Like how
Yes.
crazy is that? But that was his like first like introduction into the modeling world. I kind of like nudged him in.
Oh my gosh, it's on stealth mode too,
Yeah.
because you had a thought that he was not privy to at all,
Not at all.
and you made that
Listen,
thing happen. Oh my
yes,
gosh, I love it. So, does he model full time too, or does he have something else that he
oh
does
no, no, no.
separate from
Yeah,
modeling?
when I
Okay.
pull him into stuff, I'm like, hey, I gotta film this audition real quick. And he's like, oh, okay. And so he's always down to audition for stuff when I submit our tapes and stuff in. And so he's a really
Yeah.
good sport about that. I've been trying to like pull him over, but he's a broadcast engineer at QVC.
Oh wow. Okay. Is that how you guys met?
Yeah, that's how we
Was
met.
through the QVC position.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's awesome. Well, Kara, this is, girl, we are down to the last minute. This went by so fast.
I
Thank you
know.
so much.
No,
So
thank
tell
you.
everybody your details where they can follow you, the name of your company, or what it is that you do when you consult with people. Give everybody your deets, and that'll be what we sign off with.
Yes. So you can find me on Facebook. My name is Khira James on Facebook. On Instagram, it's underscore love Khira. That's Khira. And you can find me at yourbridalbestie.com. That's where I teach brides how to take amazing wedding pictures. And I also get you put in bridal magazines because I feel like we're underrepresented to begin with. And then my new website, which is not out yet, is your bride. The Model Bestie, and that's where I teach entrepreneurs how to take brand pictures to elevate their brand. They take magazine quality pictures to elevate their content.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for spending this
Thank you for
time with
having me.
me. and inspiring our viewers, giving them some great tips on some ways to go about showing up successfully in the modeling world. Thank you so much. So, thank you to everybody that's watching. You are watching the Empower Hour with Alexandria Nicole. I hope that you were inspired, motivated, and most of all, empowered. I am Alexandria Nicole, serial entrepreneur, published author, and transformational speaker with a passion for helping. I keep getting notifications. I'm messing my sign off up. With a passion for helping business minded dreamers successfully become entrepreneurs. All right, my friends, y'all have a good night. Thank you so much, Kira.